Alright, so a club that's usually a complete disaster, West Ham, have actually done alright this summer, which is interesting. Lots of big money signings, lots of high profile signings. We got Felipe Anderson and Andriy Yarmolenko. A couple of cheeky free transfers, Jack Wilshere, Ryan Fredericks, Lucas Perez and Carlos Sanchez joined on deadline day. Issa Diop, Lucas Fabianski. Last season was such a shambles. It can only be up for West Ham. It's got to be, surely.
Yeah, I think they'll have a better season than last season, but I still think they could do with a out-and-out goal scorer.
I disagree. I think if they get the service to Javier Hernandez, which they're better equipped to now with these players around him, then I don't think they'll have a problem with goals. On Arnautovic as well.
Yeah, they had they had some big signings last summer on Arnautovic, especially, but things were complete turmoil. They went through two managers. They've got Manuel Pellegrini in now, who's obviously extremely experienced, title-winning manager. Is there a sense that they have progressed and there is more stability there now?
You'd like to think so, but you never know. If they lose first, 3 games or something, or don't do very well, then it could be a bit of unrest. I think it'll take a while because there's so many players from different leagues and they've all played different kinds of football at their clubs. I think it'll take a while for them all to settle in, to be fair.
And they've got the hardest possible start, arguably, away at Liverpool. Didn't lose at home last season, so...
Yeah.
They've there's an interesting sort of dynamic to the players they've signed, because you look at a lot of them as players who have been promising at some points but not really kicked on. So would you say there's a lot of gambles again in their transfer policy this summer?
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, 35 million for Felipe Anderson is a big risk, considering he's been a good player at Lazio, but whether that translates to coming to England is another matter. Yarmolenko at Dortmund wasn't that successful. But, I mean, they've got
even argue Jack Wilshere as well. I mean,
yeah.
Jack Wilshere is really... He's been living off borrowed time at Arsenal for a while now, I think. And the fact he had a good first few seasons, the fact he's been living off them for a few years, I think this will really show if the hype was justified or whether he is just, past it. Well, I wouldn't say past it 'cause he's 26, but whether it's justified his hype or whether he's... Yeah, we'll see the real, his true colours sort of thing.
I would say it's a risk with Carlos Sanchez as well. Villa, I didn't think he was anything good. Fiorentina, he was okay, but then in the World Cup, I thought he played quite well. So I think that's a bit of a risk.
Yeah. There's some clever business in there, though. I think Fabianski's a very good goalkeeper. Definitely an improvement on Joe Hart last year. Fredericks from Fulham for free is very good. Perez, cheap at 4 million.
I was going to say, even if Perez doesn't do very well, it's only 4 million.
Yeah, pennies, isn't it?
They obviously, it's been rough since moving into the Olympic Stadium. They've had big ambitions. One of you guys, I can't remember, which one, said earlier when we were talking about Everton that you also thought West Ham had made the best chance of being the best of the rest, if not breaking the top 6, obviously. Does that seem reasonable? Do you think with the ambition and the outlay they've showed that they are in position to get that last sort of Europa League spot?
I think there's still a bit of a frailty about the defence, particularly in the middle. Of Collins have left the club now. Reed is quite injury prone. There's Ogbonna, who's still, I think a bit of an inconsistent player. I'm not sure they quite have the defence to properly go for a Europa League spot.
So, would top half be a good season and a couple cup runs?
Yeah, I think it's
top half would be.
I think it's more about the general mood. West Ham tend to be a club that kind of almost go into crisis every other season. If they can just keep some positivity around the club, and just get a respectable top 4 finish, I think that would be a very good season.
How long do you think, with the greatest respect, Pellegrini's not a young man, but he is probably a good profile manager for them. How long do you think he's going to have with this team to move them in the right direction? And do you think it's a good thing possibly just to have that sort of 2-year stopgap to actually just steady the ship a bit?
I think the one thing they've lacked really in the last few years is a bit of stability. I mean, the first season at the London Stadium, a lot of it is Bilic in, Bilic out, and then last season going through Moyes and Bilic. I think there's a lot of unrest at the club, and I think we've seen off the pitch the protest and on the pitch the protest. But I think what they need is a bit of stability. I don't think Pellegrini's not the sort of manager that will, at his age, he's not a manager that will, Marco Silva or Pochettino that will build for years in advance. I think what they need is they just need stability. They need someone to get them back on track, and then once they're back on track, and and they've kind of cemented themselves to a better level. I think that's when you go for your Silvas, your Pochettinos, your young managers that will take you further and try and create, I hate to say it, but a project. I mean, it's cliche, but we've seen the effect it can have.
Who do we see, if you had to pick sort of one of the many, who do you think's going to have the biggest influences in you signing on this West Ham team?
I'd go with Fabianski. You saw in goal last year, they were always pondering whether they'd go with Joe Hart or Adrian, and I think both are quite error-prone. Fabianski's a very solid goalkeeper. I think that's a very good signing.
I'd probably go with Wilshere, to be fair, if he stays fit. Just gets Mark Noble out of the team, really. I just think it's an awful player.
Do you think that do you think they'll offer him extra responsibility, and do you think he's equipped to handle that, and that would then be a positive move for his career?
Yeah, I think so. I think he'll rise to the challenge and think that he can maybe carry West Ham a bit more than he could carry Arsenal.